Hey everybody, it's Dynamite Show on the Fight Game Media Patreon. Paul Fontaine, Jeff Hawkins, as always. I want to thank you all for listening and watching, and also for supporting the Fight Game Media Patreon if you do. And if you don't, just go to that address on the screen there and sign up for $5 a month. You get this show dropped into your feed every Thursday morning, commercial free, and a bunch of other shows as well, mostly wrestling, some MMA, some other stuff. And as well, as you're participating in the chat, if you want to use Super Chat, your chat is highlighted, and the money goes directly to us, and we'll make sure to answer your question and make sure that we get to whatever you want us to talk about. But before we get into Dynamite, Jeff, of course, we got the unfortunate news a couple hours before the show started about Terry Funk. We knew he'd been ill, and he passed away. I think most people first saw it broken by Ric Flair, and then it was kind of confirmed by other people, including Mick Foley, who luckily the family had known first. I know that was a lot of the thing that people were worried that Rick had kind of spilled the beans.
Yeah, Ric Flair has a habit of spilling news before getting the clearance sometimes. Yeah.
I want to save the best for last with you, and people in the chat. If you want to share your Terry Funk memories, go ahead. But I will say, I did not experience a lot of the Terry Funk that probably a lot of you did. I would have saw him probably the first time I saw him would have been in Roadhouse or possibly Over the Top, because that was like early '80s, right?
Mid '80s.
Okay, yeah. And then when he show up? And then when he showed up in the WWF, that would have been the first time I saw him in the ring.
I was like 85 or 86.
Yeah. So probably right after that. And but we didn't get WCW or NWA down here. I wasn't reading the wrestling magazines. So about 87 is when I started reading the wrestling magazines. I did see a lot of the stuff with Flair in '89, and then of course the ECW run. I was trading tapes at that time, so I got to see a lot of that. And then the kind of the renaissance he had in the late '90s. And one thing I'll always remember is on my 27th birthday, I was out at a bar and I had watched Monday Night Raw at home, and then on the screen we were watching it, and it was the angle where the New Age Outlaws tossed Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie off of the ramp in the dumpster. And they did like an hour long, took up an hour long thing for this one angle, treating it like they were dead. And that's one thing I remember. And then, and then of course we got him coming back, and then he went to WCW and all that. But you remember the good stuff.
I do and I don't. You'll be surprised by this.
Okay.
Because a lot of my watching of Terry Funk has been in retrospect.
Okay.
Because Terry Funk was a presence in the NWA when I was watching, but that was just as, people talking about him as a former NWA champion. I am a lot like you. My first exposure to Terry Funk was when he, as an actual wrestler, was when he came in to join Jimmy Hart with Dory, renamed Haas, and Jimmy Jack Funk, who's not really a Funk.
No. Was that Art Barr?
No, it's Jesse Barr.
Right. Okay. Right.
Famous for getting his eye gouged out by Ming, I believe. And then the '89 stuff with Flair, because that angle at Wrestle War '89 was fantastic.
Yeah, because he was brought in as like a dignitary.
He was brought in as a retired wrestler. And everybody had known he was kind of retired. He had already retired twice. Terry Funk's career, just to go on a sidebar here before I get to the other stuff, is there are like three phases of the Terry Funk thing, because you have the '70s where he's in the NWA, and then early '80s All Japan, where he and Dory are just absolute legends over there. And then you get the mid to late '80s WWF and WCW / Crockett runs, which makes him, he had a big program with Hogan, and that was about it in WWF, as I recall. But you had,
he's a great opponent for Hogan, though.
Yes, he was. And the Flair stuff came right after the Steamboat trilogy. So I mean that
Yeah.
89, the JTEX Corporation angle is one of my favorite things, because that whole 89 was JTEX versus the Horsemen.
The Steamboat series like directly led into his Funk, because it was the third Steamboat match where Funk
At
broke.
where he was judging, and then he was
Yeah.
asking for a title match, and then the shock of the laundry bag over the head,
Yeah.
and which was something, and then the pile driver through the table spot, which
and this is when we didn't see that. Like now we see it every week.
Yeah, now we see it every week, but back then that pile driver put him out for a few months, and they had Jim Ross, I think, visit his home or Flair's home with the neck brace and everything. I mean, they sold this stuff.
And Funk was retired, so it's like, okay, how's he going to beat the world champion? Well, he just put him through a table, so now Ric Flair's injured, and he's going to come back. He's probably not going to be 100%. And then you got Terry Funk, who, even though he's retired, he was, I mean, by today's standards, he wasn't even old. He was probably like 40.
44, I think. And
was he? I'm surprised he was even that.
He was born in 44, so 44, I think he was 44, 45 and 89.
Yeah.
And he looked great. And then they transitioned him into being a broadcaster after he quits at New York Knockout, which, I mean, him and Chris Cruz were a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but he enters into this latter stage of his career where he decides to start doing indies, and so you start seeing him in Eastern Championship Wrestling up in Philadelphia, which later became, of course, Extreme Championship Wrestling. And he did the Slamboree 94 match, which was a draw against Tully Blanchard, which, it's a fun match for what it is. It's nothing spectacular, but it's two guys who didn't want to lose at the time. And of course that was also, Slamboree 94 was also the one where Tully held them up for money because he was getting lowballed on the Flair for the gold thing. But then Funk enters into his extreme type of thing in the early 90s, going to Japan and doing IWA and Frontier Martial Arts, I believe, or FMW.
Yeah, we had the exploding barbed wire death match with Cactus Jack.
With Cactus Jack, which is the first Japanese death match I ever saw.
Me too.
And so I mean, it's a lot.
Swore off it for 30 years.
Yeah, and then I mean, and then of course his run in ECW as like the living legend, winning the title in the triple threat.
He helped put ECW on the map.
Oh, like, Paul Eve says that in the on the if you watch Beyond the Mat, which is fantastic and also crazy and
ironic if you consider like they were building up his retirement match in 1997.
I read the best quote from him though today. It was like, "Look, I meant every retirement I did."
Yeah.
But then the love of wrestling came back, and I did. Look, I've done that in comedy a million times. Oh, I'm done with this. And I was never a legend in comedy, but it's always one. I'm done. I don't ever want to do this again. Yeah, and then you get the itch, and you come back. And of course, I'm not booked, which is a famous moment in Beyond the Mat. But he goes into like latter-day hardcore wrestler / innovator in terms of old guys doing moonsaults and things like that.
He was still wrestling in the early 2000s on national TV.
Yeah.
He
was part of the Monday Night Wars. He was
he was the U.S. champion in like 2000.
He was.
Yeah.
He was going back and forth between WCW and WWE.
Yeah. And he was Terry Funk in both places. Like
Chainsaw Charlie as well.
Chainsaw Charlie, but I mean, it was he kind of went in and out of that, like
Nick Foley, so funny
because the mask. Yeah.
I remember the moment. It was the Outlaws match. I think it was the dumpster match.
Yeah, WrestleMania
where Road Dogg just comes out and goes, Terry Funk. It's like, and they all had to go on Terry Funk, who uses the Chainsaw Charlie moniker.
Yeah, which kind of worked because he also had Mick Foley doing Cactus Jack and Dude Love and everything.
Is he on your Rushmore?
For what? Just pro wrestlers, period?
Yes. Yeah. Because there's been this, let me
probably not. But
while you think about it, let me just.
Well, I don't even have to think about it because I just actually answered this not that long ago. Mine is different from most people.
Yeah.
Mine was, believe it or not, and I'm talking everything in wrestling, like encompassing everything. And one is going to be Owen Hart just because he's my favorite wrestler of all time, and I'm always going to put him on, even though Triple H, Jerry Lawler, and Ric Flair. That's my four.
The Funk Lawler stuff in Memphis with the empty arena.
Oh, God.
And Lance Russell is fantastic.
Yep. Egg-sucking dog.
Dylan he calls everybody an egg-sucking dog. You know,
I think
Dusty
Lawler was
promos,
the first.
Flair promos.
Was the first. Yeah.
Such your ass. It's one of those things where, and Dylan Hales is really the guy to go to on this, wrestling historian, where Terry Funk being one of the GOATs is almost a latter stage looking back at his career thing, because he's always been unretiring. And so people have been reevaluating it as we go and go. I would possibly say he's one or two on the most important American wrestlers ever, just due to the Japanese influence on gaijins going over there.
Mm-hmm.
Both the All Japan runs and even the the hardcore Americans who would go over for those deathmatch types of things. But I mean, he basically legitimized ECW. Paul E will tell you that every day of the week and twice on Sunday, that ECW would have never been seen as legitimate without Terry Funk. They say that,
and the idea like of just these indie guys going on to, or these old legends going on to indie shows and being treated like gods, like that kind of started with him.
I went to Wrestle Reunion, I think it was called, in 2011. It was a big con down here at one of the LAX hotels, and PWG did a show, and they had a Legends Battle Royal. And, everybody's kind of going in there. They're not doing much. They're doing a little bit. They're popping the crowd here. And the final two are Rowdy Roddy Piper and Terry Funk.
Oh, my God.
And they just decide at that moment, you know what these people really want? A brawl.
Oh, wow.
And so they beat the snot out of one another. Did you ever meet Terry Funk?
No, I feel like the only person in the world that didn't, because everyone's posting their pictures with Terry Funk today.
I never got a picture of him, but I met him 3 times.
Oh, wow.
But like a couple times it was just him coming up to everybody in the crowd and thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
I'm not even sure if I ever saw him wrestle, to be honest.
Offering to sign something, etc. I met him backstage at a WCW show in 89 or 90.
Oh, wow.
Well, Tom Zink was still my in there, because one of the members of his family lived in my neighborhood. So we went down to
Were you like 13 back then?
16. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tom Zink was a cousin of a friend of mine. So it's one of those things where,
fair enough. Yeah.
Hey, you want to come to the show? I heard you guys like wrestling.
I went backstage at a couple of AWA shows, but I don't think he was wrestling back
I just remember Butch Reed heckled me to get in shape. It really pissed me off. And then at in Dallas for Mania, because I was staying at the WrestleCon Hotel.
Oh.
And he showed up at the Wrestling Super Show as well. The WWN Super Show when Cactus Jack and Sabu.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
I still have photos from that one, but it's not photos of me. It's just photos of him in the ring. But he hung out afterwards and talked to everybody.
He might have been at the WrestleCon, like the meet and greet thing, but maybe I didn't see him.
I think he was.
Yeah, I probably had a long line, and I just
nobody has ever said anything sour about Terry.
Never. No, that's the one thing.
That's a testament to him. Yeah, I mean, and I love his promos. His promos are just so good. I was watching.
That's where he's like Owen Hart. Like no one ever said anything negative. Well, I assume Stone Cold did.
But, the ribbing. People hated the ribbing.
Okay. But yeah, with Terry Funk, it was
because he was mean about it.
Nothing negative ever.
And watching Terry Funk's promos, it's fascinating to watch his style. Because his style is to slow it down and enunciate everything and take your time, even when he's angry, Jim Ross, and that egg-sucking dog with the big nose and the screwed up teeth, Ric Flair, that kind of thing. You watch him and he's processing the promo at the same time he's talking, but he never misses a beat with it. He's always just in that character. And he never is nervous. He always has control of that mic, and he goes low and slow, and it's so awesome to watch. I'm gonna go this weekend just after All In and just watch Terry Funk promos.
Yeah, you're gonna need a palate cleanser. If you want to talk about Terry Funk and share your memories, if you're in the Fight Game Media Discord, there is a special channel dedicated to him in the old school section. and it's Terry Funk. You can go to the announcements, and Garrett posted a link directly to the chat. So if you look on the announcements at the top of the Discord, it's right there, and you can see it. And a lot of people are sharing their memories and pictures and all kinds of stuff.
He was
Great matches.
He was doing indies up to like 2007 or 2008, right?
I think
maybe
so,
even
yeah.
more. He'd do one shots here and there after.
Well, you just said
regular,
2011. Yeah.
Regular shots up until about 2007, and then he'd do like special.
Yeah, because his knees were shot.
Oh, go watch Beyond the Mat, kids,
Yeah.
and watch that and watch how much pain he is in, and that's him in his 50s, mid 50s.
And he still had like 5 more years on national TV after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, we should get into the show.
Okay.
We just to let everyone know, we will talk after the Dynamite report. We'll talk about All In, and we'll give a just quick preview and kind of our predictions, thoughts, of the show and everything. However much time we have left. But this was a go home show if you've ever seen one. And honestly, I will say we talked a little bit before the show, and this show, overall is pretty good. It had some ups and downs, and we'll talk about that.
All right, let me ask you: are you more excited about All In after watching the show?
Very slightly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say that as a go home show, this is one of the best go home shows they ever did, because a lot of times their go home shows, because a lot of times their go home shows are bad, and Tony Khan's admitted that. Like, and a lot of times they don't even have anything to do with the pay per view. Like, you'll have. Like I remember one where it was like, it was like Colton Gunn pinned Cody Rhodes or something.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
There was a random guns, and that was the one where they turned on Big Show, I think. And you're like, why are they showing this right now?
And it had nothing to do with anything.
Yes.
Yeah. It was, And so this was very focused, very much. Everything was about the pay-per-view.
Yes.
So that was good, with the exception of one match, but even that kind of had some tie-ins, but we'll talk about it. So we started out with the Elite and Bullet Club Gold. They do their entrances, and it's Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks against Juice Robinson and the Guns, and they both have really cool entrances, and then they basically just started brawling and never even got a match. They just brawled like crazy. It took a while to figure out that this wasn't a match, because a lot of AEW matches are like this. Yes. But Juice Robinson, Jay White showed up, and then Takeshita showed up, and then FTR made the save, and so it was like, it's at one point Excalibur finally just said, the ref's throwing this out. It's not a match.
Well, if it's a Bucks match, Rick Knox is probably taking a bump, and he did.
Yeah,
because that was what Juice knocked him out, right? And then it just
there was so much going on, I couldn't even.
Well, yeah, I believe Juice Robinson attacked the referee, and that's when it broke down, and everybody started coming in and doing all the interference.
And we were having TSN was having major difficulties, and I thought it was like AEW, because AEW's had some production issues, but there were spots when like how the lights go out in AEW all the time. Well, the screen would just go black. And then I thought it was the lights going out, and then there would be no audio. And during the MJF Renee interview segment, they would go to like a split screen, and then there would be like both the same pictures on the same screen. Battlecat telling us that there were some issues on Fight as well. So maybe TSM was using the Fight feed. So there's a lot of issues. So I may have missed it because of that. Because there was a couple times during this that the lights went out, and I thought, oh man, we're going to get a surprise run in. And then they just came back on, and it was, and Excalibur was in mid-sentence. So
before we get too deep into this show,
the
original lineup, Jack Perry was supposed to retire the FTW title on this show, right?
And they moved it to Collision. Yeah,
gotcha. So nobody will see it.
I think that's the only thing that they didn't deliver that they promised, because there was a lot of stuff on this show that they had promised.
Yes.
And Jonathan Messenger asks, isn't it weird that Hangman is not any of the go-home shows this week? Yeah, kind of is.
Guessing they kept him away from the building.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's because Mr.
Because they're recording Collision.
Yeah, and the announcers are at ringside as well, which
was unusual.
I'm guessing it's a CM Punk thing. He has to have the announcers at ringside. I'm just starting that rumor. I don't know if it's any idea.
I'll link it to Fightful if you'd like.
There you go. So so no Matt. We ended up everyone leaves, and we got Omega and Takeshita in the ring together. Omega gets him on his shoulders for the one-winged angel, but of course, Takeshita escaped. So you got to pay to see that, which is good. I thought, like, if you want to put aside the fact they advertised a match that they didn't deliver, given the fact that it's the go home show for the biggest show they're ever going to do, I'm fine with that. This was a hot angle to start the show. I thought it was real good.
Yeah, I was fine with this. I look, you know me. I don't want to see.
Yeah.
I just want to see build, man.
I actually was more upset that they even were going to do this match than the fact that we didn't actually get to see it. Because I thought, why are you doing this match on the go home show?
I'm more upset that I had to see the Hardys in the main event.
Well, yeah, but at least we got something after the match, which I didn't get to see, and we'll get to that.
Right.
Yeah. So it was good start to the show. No Don Callis out for this segment, by the way, with Takeshita. There was too much going on. He doesn't want to take a chance getting hurt. Right. We get Renee sitting down with MJF. Before I talk about the content of this, overall, what did you think of this?
I'm not sure. Is that okay to say?
That's almost exactly how I felt.
Because I'm watching this and I'm going,
I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Oh, no, they are playing him up, baby, but scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Clash of the Champions 9 New York Knockout? I think it is.
DJ, do you know that?
The Flair Funk Icon.
Oh, he's doing the watch along on the Wrestling Observer board.
Okay, well,
I'll
watch it later.
Yeah, this was better than the last couple weeks, DJ. You're right. No, I'm confused, like, because there's a couple things he said in this thing where he said at one point he's like, "I'm not working you." The I quit match.
Yeah, no,
and so at that point it's like, okay, what's going on? Like, you're clearly working us, like, because the camera's
I've never
on.
had a friend in my entire life.
Like, come on, and
that's a little heavy, but it's they're gonna do. And we've been,
and he's doing comedy. He's talking about being chubbed up, and Daddy's trunks are going to be tight, and then he's like, "I'm the 2023 version of the British Bulldog. If you were Jewish and a good public speaker, like, are you a heel? Are you a baby face? Like,
it's really babying him up while also telling us the obvious.
Yeah,
that he's going to do heel stuff.
But the thing is he going to churn? And I'm almost starting to wonder now. They made it so obvious that it was going to be MJF that everyone was thinking it was Cole. And now I'm almost wondering if they're going the other way. Like,
it's fine. I think that's part of the point too. I think
part
of the point
could be like, it could still be. But I'm going to tell you something. If MJF ends up going heel after all this, I am going to be so pissed off.
Why?
Why? Because they wasted our time. And everyone's an idiot.
Exactly.
Everyone's an idiot. The fans are idiot. Adam Cole's an idiot. I'm an idiot.
I can go either way on this, Paul. I think this could be an entire waste of time to draw us in and then to say, I'm a scorpion. What did you expect?
Yeah.
I could see them doing the heel Rock. Well, he's not a heel, but he's the babyface, but he's doing heel stuff type of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're telling you. One key thing I thought was interesting. At the end of the promo, he talked about, he gets all humble. And he's like, it's not just about me, and it's not just about Adam Cole. It's about the people that came before us. And then he says, Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, Dusty Rhodes, John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker. I was expecting Terry Funk, and then it dawned on me, he used all WWE guys.
All WWE
except for Dusty
champions, except Dusty. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was a shout out to Cody.
Yeah, exactly. So is he still playing up this war?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because last week during the
could have said
god awful. Well, no, but remember last week during the Tony decides he's going to be a television star promo.
Yeah,
where he goes, remember, he leaves the meeting after he gets yelled at and goes, I'm going to remember this during the War of 24. So he's always playing this up. It's always a work with him. So that's
And then
fine.
He also did a thing where I'm going to buy you all a pint. And then Renee's like, are you sure? Are you serious? And he's like, no, I'm not serious. I'm going to get that Mark Tony Khan to do it. And he's like, we can cut that, right? Like, and this is building up the main event of the biggest match in wrestling history. I'm going to say this was a miss. Overall, I was less interested in the MJF Cole match going into this than I was coming out of it. Now it would get better later, but at this particular moment, after this promo, I was not interested.
I'm gonna kind of agree.
Okay.
Because I think the way to go, even if this is a complete fraud, is to go full earnest.
Yeah.
Never wink, wink.
I liked what they did last week. That should have been the go home.
And he can still say he's a scumbag. But it's one of those things where it's like, you don't tip your hand with the little ha-has about the pint and Tony Khan will pay for that.
Right.
So be earnest and then rip the rug out from under us and say, you dummies, kind of a thing. So either way, you get that. But you have to have, it's like doing a straight, I compare this, and again, I'm going to pull out the improv. I'm sorry, kids. You're doing you're going to do a straight absurd scene. The absurd person has to back off at some point and let the straight person in to sucker them back to then hit the absurd again and then get the big laugh. And then you go on to the next scene or whatever. That's how you write comedy with a straight absurd. You can't be absurd all the time. You have to back off and kind of let that and kind of draw in the straight person to believing you. It's like, oh, guess you didn't hear about the treasure. Oh, the treasure, what? And then boom, hit him again. That kind of a thing. I think this is insincere as hell.
Yeah.
And I think it can go either way.
It closed with him saying, they closed with him saying, I understand why you people don't trust me. He said, think about the worst thing you've ever done in your life. I've probably done it twice.
Yes.
And he says, I want you people to be vulnerable with me and you'll be rewarded. And the first promise I've ever intended to keep in my life, I'm going to keep it. And he says, I'm not just a scumbag. I'm your scumbag.
Yes. This is, he's going to be the anti-hero in some ways, if it's not a complete work, which I'm fine.
I think he can do that while being a baby face.
Yes.
There's a way to do it. And that's what I kind of want.
He's going to be obnoxious. That's what's
right. But I still want it to be a baby face. Like I want Cole to turn on him.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Matthew's hit it right on the head. Like this is what I want. The money is with a furious, angry MJF chasing a heel Cole. That's absolutely true because he let his guard down and he got burned. And now he's going to be an asshole, but he's going to be an asshole for the people.
I think though there's a danger in that. And it's this. MJF is a far more compelling character than Adam Cole.
Yes.
Adam Cole's a very good heel, but he only has one promo in him as a heel for the most part. I'm the best. Boom. That.
Well, did I tell you what I think is going to happen in the main event? It's total fantasy booking. But Cole turns on MJF after a ref bump, and they're beating on him, and Bill Goldberg comes out, and
I thought that was my idea.
Well, no, but my idea. Bill Goldberg makes a save, and then how MJF wins the match is he knocks Adam Cole out with the ring. So he still cheats to win because he's MJF.
Okay.
And so he keeps the belt. Cole turns heel. And then they kick off a feud because I think, and we'll skip ahead, they also set up an MJF Ospreay match here tonight. Which I think could be at All Out, but I think it's coming. I don't know. Maybe it won't be that soon, but there were hints for MJF Ospreay as well. So, but like I said, I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Well,
I mean,
I'll get to my booking of the main event when we go through the card.
It was 100% better than the comedy stuff they've been doing, but I just thought it missed a little bit.
The wink, wink, nudge, nudge stuff started to bug me a bit.
Though. I thought this was like if they would have aired this last week and then aired the promo they aired last week this week, I thought that would have been better.
Well, that's part of the problem here is that there's some of this stuff needed to simmer.
Yeah.
For a week before we get to the pay-per-view as opposed to on the go home.
But then you had last week where MJF got all serious, which is exactly what you're talking about. Where he's like, this is important to me. And I'll do anything to keep this belt. That's what we needed to hear from MJF this week.
I agree. I agree.
All right. We went to Jon Moxley and Rey Fenix. And this was, it was exactly what you would expect from a Jon Moxley Rey Fenix match. The one thing I think everyone was expecting, because the news had gotten out that Rey Fenix wasn't going to be able to be at All In. And so you figure, okay, they're going to do something to write him out. And there's a few different spots in this match where I kind of thought maybe it was coming. There's Jon Moxley stomped him on the floor where he's against the where the floor meets the ramp, and it looked pretty nasty. And later on, he was using his elbows of death, but eventually he made his comeback, and they did all his great high spots. Phoenix got a couple great near falls, and there was one splash that Jon Moxley kicked out at like 2 7/8. And then they did a spot where they were both down. After they hitting heads, and then they got up at 7 and they're trading slaps and punches. Crowd is just going insane for this. Fenix tried something off the ropes, but Mox bit his face, and then he hit an avalanche Death Rider, which I thought should have been the finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he immediately just put him in a sleeper.
Yeah.
And
Gets
it's like,
mad, puts him in
yeah,
the sleeper.
the avalanche Death Rider would have been a great finish.
I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a great match anyways, and and then it served its purpose. And then
yeah, going into that, I'm under the impression that Fenix was trying to blade, and he didn't quite get it.
Okay,
because I think that's why he cut his mask as well. I think
that's right. He did cut the mask at the beginning.
They were trying to get the blood going there,
Bryce
and it just never. And Bryce put on the gloves, and I just don't think it ever got there. And I think that was the point they were trying to get across, was that Moxley was trying to beat him to a bloody pulp here,
basically trying to eliminate him. And they kind of set this up on Rampage, because Fenix had a match with Commander, and some varying opinions on how great that match was. But I thought it was good. And
that was fine.
They were scouting him basically,
right.
and so I think the idea that everyone had was, Mox is going to take him out. And so after the match, the Blackpool Combat Club shows up, and Wheeler and Claudio have crowbars, and Kingston and Penta tried to make the save, but Ortiz just magically appears out of nowhere with a loaded sock. And it's funny because I feel like we haven't seen Ortiz in a really, really long time. It's probably not as long as it feels like it's been, but then all of a sudden Santana shows up, and he gets an entrance. Ortiz didn't get an entrance. And then you got Santana on the top of the ramp, Ortiz on the bottom of the ramp, swinging around this loaded sock. Meanwhile, Claudio and Wheeler are just in the ring, I assume just watching this, but no, they actually took out Fenix with the crowbars while the camera was focused on Santana and Ortiz, which was baffling. They ended up showing a replay later, but they do this all the time in AEW, where the cameramen have no idea when the key stuff is happening, which I'm amazed it's still happening. But it was, and then eventually the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy showed up, and then Blackpool Combat Club left. And then they did an angle where, they called in the doctors, and they get a stretcher in, and everyone's checking on them. The announcers are doing the hush hush, Owen Hart, Jerry Lawler voice, which I thought there's a bit of a disconnect here. And I'll tell you why, because I felt like this AEW expects their fans to be tuned in and know what's going on. So most of the fans watching, assuming, if you want to be consistent, they all knew that Fenix wasn't going to be at All In. So they weren't buying this angle. And the reaction from the crowd was very, I don't know. We talked a bit before the show. You thought they were just booing because the heels were doing bad things. I thought they were booing because they're pissed off that Fenix isn't going to be wrestling at All In. It wasn't so much about they're worried about Fenix. They're just pissed off that Fenix, they're not going to get to see him.
Well, I thought they were booing the beatdown, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That's all I thought. And boy, this was bad. In terms of making Proud and Powerful something here, because they were baby faces last we saw them.
Mm-hmm.
So what you needed to do here, in my opinion, is if you're gonna have the crowbars, fine. I'm fine with that. Have Penta come down to try and save. He's getting beat with crowbars. Have Proud and Powerful then run down to the ring. Oh, look who's back. Doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, weren't Santana Ortiz on the opposite team of the Blackpool Combat Club at Blood and Guts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure I remember that right.
With their socks. And don't do the drama thing of standing by or whatever. Just have them come in immediately and start beating on Penta and Fenix with the loaded socks. And then
Blackpool Combat Club hasn't learned their lesson about teaming with people that they're not friends with, have they?
Well, I get that, but I mean, just have that, because this does nothing for Powerful. I thought, and we'll get to the aftermath too, because I think there were things that had to be done that they did not do.
Yeah.
And it's just they're standing there. I guess they're the partners now.
They should have done a promo.
They should have been responsible for knocking Fenix out.
That too. Yeah.
But yes, the promo part I'll get to in a second. But yes, they needed to be the ones responsible for knocking Fenix out of this match to get there. And I don't know if it had to be a post-match beatdown or in the hallway or whatever, but they had to be the ones to be responsible as opposed to the Blackpool Combat Club and their what I think those were tire irons. I don't think those were crowbars, but that's me.
Okay. Yeah.
Because yes, they popped for Santana returning.
Our buddy Miguel pointed that out. Shout out to Miguel Rubio. Met him in Vegas. Great dude. Great pizza chef.
And now let's get pizza. Hey.
He's got a great. If you're ever in the Bay Area, check out his pizza place. He'll put up the name of the place
because the aftermath was.
I don't remember it. The announced the aftermath. So after the break, they show Fenix getting loaded into an ambulance, and they showed the shot that they missed earlier. And the announcers are still selling it with the hush hush voices. They kept this up for like 3 segments. And Penta and Alex got into the ambulance with them. Kingston is like very sad, and he's mad that the camera's in his face. And then Renee shows up out of nowhere, and Kingston is like, "What, you?" And he's like, "Did you see what your husband did out there?" And he's like, "You want me to fix this?" He said, "Yeah, I'm going to fix this at Wembley." And so I kind of like that a little bit, but Renee, I didn't like the way she acted. I mean, it was real, but it's just not.
I liked it, but you needed something to set that up. And here's what number one, hilarious that these guys are trying. Rey Fenix has a neck injury, and they are shoving him. With the gurney into the ambulance, and a guy who needed bigger pants.
Well,
you got a little of the plumber crack going. I'm sorry, it happened, and I couldn't unsee it after that. But after that, okay, you have Alex Marvez, you have Renee, you have Lexi, you have these roving reporters. You got to get the statement from Proud and Powerful.
I think they only had one tonight. I think Renee was like
fine,
all over the place tonight.
Okay, but the order is you do Proud and Powerful first.
Yeah.
Because that's what the hell is going on? What did you do? Why did you do that? And then later in the show to sell this, you go to the guy who's used to be friends with all these guys and Eddie Kingston. Yeah. And Eddie Kingston is boiling mad. And he cuts a promo on these guys. That's what you needed to do. Instead, we have no idea what
I'm going to make a prediction. I'll bet you we're going to get that promo on Rampage that nobody sees.
Doesn't matter.
There's going to, I know, but there's going to be a video package on Rampage, and Ortiz is going to talk about, why he left AEW and how bad of a guy Eddie Kingston is. And you know what? We don't like the Blackpool Combat Club, but we don't like Eddie even more, something like that.
That would be stupid because this is the show. This is the go home show. I don't care about Rampage.
And Collision is going to be even less because.
Well, Collision's after the fact. It doesn't matter.
What do you mean?
So, oh wait, you're right. It's Saturday night before Sunday.
I know. Trust me, I've been making this mistake.
I was thinking Saturday morning. It was because Money in the Bank was Saturday morning from the UK. Okay,
I'm with you there.
Correct.
I'm with you there, buddy. Yeah. No, I actually think
this had to be a full-on enveloped story within the confines of Dynamite, and they failed.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, not a little bit. A lot of it. Next we got Excalibur called her some point in the show, not here, but he's the hardest working woman in AEW, Renee. Yes. She earlier today, they had to point out, she tried to get the reaction of Sammy Guevara, and I'm like struggling to remember like what she's trying to get for him, and she's smiling all through this interview while she's talking about Jericho being brutally attacked. And 2.0 and Garcia showed up, and they're mad at him, and Matt Menard says Jericho is going to accept. And what are you doing? Like he was leaving us, and Sammy says he's my friend. Sometimes friendship makes you do bad things. He's been friends with Callis for 34 years, so he doesn't know what he's thinking. But you got to be there for your friends, especially when they're in the wrong. And then Parker says, "I'm glad you said that because do you really think Jericho's going to be there for you when you need him?" And then him and Menard left, and Garcia was still there, and he just stared a hole through Garcia, and then turned around and walked out. I kind of like this.
2.0 are exactly correct.
Yes. Yeah.
He accepted the offer.
Yeah, I'm glad they reminded us of that.
I like this. I just can't see them being the heels in this situation, eventually beating up Sammy for it. That's the thing.
Well, I think what this was to set up is probably at some point Callis is going to send people after Sammy, and Jericho's going to make the save and prove that he's a good friend.
Yes, and he's probably going to end up sending 2.0.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
And maybe
yeah.
Garcia.
Garcia. I think he's maybe Garcia, maybe
Although
not.
Garcia took a bat to the head, so that would make no sense. But
No.
here
I
we
think
are.
that's maybe just a red herring. I think Callis has bigger
Yeah,
fish to fry
but I
than
like that they
2.0.
go, look, he accepted the offer. If it wasn't for that stupid painting,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they brought up the painting. Yeah,
he wouldn't be your friend.
he'd be in the family. You know.
Although Sammy's, it's. I understand the scripting of this, but it doesn't make sense either. You know, because it was like, okay, he booked Jericho and Takeshita in a match against Garcia and Guevara.
Yeah.
And Chris went willingly, and then was willing to use the bat on either of them.
I think he did.
Yeah,
no, they did, and he was just okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's it's kind of the same problem with, hey, AR Fox, I love you anyways.
Yeah, like we'll get to that.
Wait, hold on. Our baby faces have the memories of a goldfish all of a sudden.
Well, no, he remembered it. He just doesn't care.
Just doesn't care. I forgive.
Yeah.
As someone who has had the falling out with their best friend and didn't speak to him for a year, it takes a while.
Yeah.
Even after you're on speaking terms to really get that.
And did your best friend show up at your protege's house and nearly murder him and threaten him with a shank and break his dad's picture?
All's forgiven.
Yeah. I love you,
Hugs,
man.
Everybody.
Yeah. Bygones.
My goodness. He got Jesus real quick there.
What's the bygones from? What's that from?
What? Bygones be bygones?
No, there's it's Alan McBeal. Richard Fish would always say it, and he would go, bygones. Like every time you do something like totally bad, yeah. Bygones.
An underrated character. Now I could make references, but I won't.
Yeah. This was and it led into the contract signing. So I'm going to tell you right now, this was the best thing on the show. I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. And Tony Schiavone was in the ring. He calls out Ospreay. Ospreay comes out to a huge pop, even though he's a huge heel. Callis is with him, and he apologized for omitting Callis's name. Jericho gets a big pop. He's out with Sammy. And Callis said, everyone wants to know why I did this. I did this because of Will, by God, Ospreay. I offered him Jericho's head on a platter at Wembley, and I chose money and power over our friendship. I chose writing history instead of watching it. And I noted that he wasn't getting quite as much heat as he normally gets. Not exactly sure why. He reminds Jericho that he nearly died in England a couple of years ago, and this time Will's going to finish the job. And then Will asked Jericho if he's taking this seriously. He said, this is the biggest venue in the entirety of the UK. This match is going to change my life. I've got a missus and a 4-year-old stepson. Day before, I'm doing an indie. I'm trying to put my kid through school. After this, I'm going to be the only guy to beat Omega, Okada, and Jericho in 2 months. And in 6 months, I'm going to be a free agent when my contract with NJPW is up. And who isn't going to pay millions to get Will Ospreay? I'm better than the Elite. I'm better than Danielson. I'm better than Punk. And I'm better than you. And the only thing he didn't say was, and you know it. Like, he's clearly setting up a match with MJF. And, and if MJF remains a babyface out of the Cole feud, I mean, that's a big match. And, and I don't know when it's going to happen. Signs. Yeah, well, he doesn't even need to sign to do the match, but he could do the thing MJF was going to do. He could win and threaten to take the belt to Japan.
I also like that he made reference of the Judas concert at Wembley.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah, is this just some sort of
vanity project?
Vanity project. I didn't like the promo halfway through, and then it came around at the end because I was like going, why is Will setting himself up as a poor? He can't afford anything, and then all of a sudden
stumbling a bit. So I cleaned up a bit of the language because he was all over the place. But it was overall it was good, and he nailed it at the end.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Jericho gets his rebuttal, and he says, let's talk about your future, but no, let's talk about your present. He says, none of this you'd accomplish if it weren't for me. 5 years ago, when the wrestling world and the sheet writers and the Meltzers were all predicting that you're going to be in a wheelchair like your hero Dynamite Kid, I called you and I told you to tone it down or you'd never be what I knew you'd be, one of the top stars in this business. You listened to me, and here you are. And Ospreay's like not disagreeing with this. And he said, you didn't have to attack me from behind. We were going to do this in 2021 at the Dome. He said, "This is Wembley, the biggest show in pro wrestling history, biggest show of my career, almost 33 years. It's not a vanity project. It's bigger than Mania. It's bigger than the Tokyo Dome." And the crowd really popped for that because they're behind AEW.
They like the petty.
They do. He said, "This match means more to me than anyone else. I'm on top of the mountain and everyone's trying to knock me down. Social media dipshits trying to tell me when to quit." He says, "I'll quit when I'm ready. I need to be the best Chris Jericho, and you need to be the best Will Ospreay. So prove it to me. Prove it to your family, to your mother, your missus, your stepson, your countrymen that you can beat Chris Jericho. Don't make me regret calling you, that I kept you from being in a wheelchair like your hero Dynamite Kid." And then at that point, Ospreay had enough, and he slapped the mic out of his hand, and they got into a big brawl. And I thought this was great. I just absolutely loved. I thought Ospreay was a little bit better than Jericho, but Jericho was great. Jericho nailed it. And I thought that, like, this match, when I first heard about this match, I was like rolling my eyes. I did not want to see it. I'm like, why are we getting Will Ospreay against Chris Jericho? I did not care. I did not want to see it. And after this promo segment, I'm probably looking forward to it more than anything on the show. So,
I'm not there, but I liked this a lot. I think Matt's correct, and it's a point I bring up every time. The emotion of a promo is far more important than the content of the promo, and I think they got there with this. And Jericho can pull it out when he wants to. I was very impressed with this promo by him. There was no.
I also love that they were building stuff for beyond whatever comes out of this. I'm always looking for that stuff. So. But yeah, you're 100% right.
I'm fine with that, but I'd much rather it be focused on these two, and it was mostly. So I'm
yeah.
But there are oftentimes those promos when you're watching the program and you know that this is just WWE does this especially.
No, this was subtle. This was subtle.
They're doing the. Well, we're trying to tell you that these two are in a world title program, but really we're building the big program here for.
This is almost like a title eliminator without calling it one.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah. This is good.
And we don't have a world title match for All In excuse me, for All Out. So sorry about that. All right.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I'm drinking my Diet Coke, and I should have muted myself.
The James McDaniel special.
Yeah, James on the boom this week was great. He just gets up and goes get a Coke in the middle, and you could hear everything.
Talk.
He didn't mute his mic. I love the boom. Everybody, listen to the boom.
It's fantastic anarchy. That's
and they did a great preview of All In this week, where they give their heat for every match. So it is pretty awesome. All right, next we get Renee with Adam Cole. So this is basically the same thing as with the MJF promo earlier, except it was very different. She asked him about their relationship, and they showed highlights, and then he says, you'd never think we'd have become best friends. He's an amazing pro wrestler. He helped me find myself. My confidence was at an all-time low, but Max reminded me who the real Adam Cole is. And he says, and then Renee says, you could walk out as the ROH tag champ and the AEW champ. You've been through a lot. What would it mean to go through either one of these champs? And he said, I got into pro wrestling with the intention of being the best. I've won world titles all over the globe, but the AEW world title is different. That makes me the best in the world, and I need to win this match. And then she asked about Roddy Strong and the Kingdom and his friendship with Adam Cole. And then they show highlights. And in every one of these highlights, Adam Cole looks bad. He's about to turn on MJF. They showed the one spot where he says, I don't trust him, and he's not going to watch this, so it doesn't matter. That thing right back from the very beginning of all this. And they're showing Cole, and then they showed the thing where he did the stabbing motion in the back, and they highlighted it. And Cole's face when they showed that was great, because it was like, oh shit, like they see what's coming, and he's getting madder and madder. And by the end of this, he's furious, and he stands up and he's like, I'm sick and tired. I don't want to have my relationship questioned. And he gets up to walk out, and he says, I'm going to say this one time. There's no issues with me and Max, none. And he walks out. Like, more emotion than we've seen from Adam Cole, like the whole time he's been in AEW. I really like this, and this brought me back into the match, because now I'm intrigued, because I don't know where they're going, unless they're beating you over the head with the obvious.
Oh, I think it's me thinks the lady doth protesteth too much about it, and I think Cole is going to be the one to go heel. Right. Just not at All In. I think they're going to stretch out this.
It out?
Yeah, I think they're going to stretch out the story. I think it's the right reaction to be angry and do the blow up moment.
Yeah.
I just think he said the wrong thing. Doesn't anybody believe in friendship anymore? Oh God, that's a Roddy line. It's not a you line. Just be more direct. Be more. I'm not gonna stab Max in the back. And that would have been. Or
he could have even said, "If I was going to do it, I'd have done it already."
Yeah, or the quiet burn.
Yeah.
For a few moments, and then say, "If I was going to do it, I'd have done it already." Renee, that stuff's in the past. You deny it, but you don't. That was whiny almost.
Or he could have even said, "You know what? At the beginning, I was going to turn on him, but we became friends."
That would have been that would have been great too. Yeah, I just there's a false note in there about the doesn't anyone believe in friendship anymore, and you're just like,
well, it also played into what Roddy and the Kingdom did later, which I actually think is the best thing they've done.
Yes.
Since that started, we'll get.
Yeah,
to that too.
It just came off as it was a false beat when it needed the real beat a little bit, but I liked it overall.
Minor misstep.
Yeah,
but overall,
it was a 7.5, 8 out of 10 as opposed to a 10.
Actually, the strong thing was the very next segment.
Yes.
So Renee again, she asked Strong about the Kingdom and his friendship, and they showed more highlights, and they showed the tease. Oh no, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. I'm reading the same notes I just read from the last one. We'll get to Roddy and the Kingdom later. Next up was baffling. It was Darby Allin, Nick Wayne against Swerve and AR Fox. And my first thing was when this match was booked, I'm like, okay, the pay-per-view match is Darby and Sting against Swerve and Fox.
Yes.
But you're going to replace Sting with Nick Wayne, which actually makes it a better match. Realistically, like Sting would have more heat, but Nick Wayne's, at this point is probably a better wrestler than Sting. I think most people would say. So I'm thinking, okay, like why are we doing this match? And then they get into a brawl to start. The first thing that was baffling, the crowd is 100% cheering for AR Fox. So this whole match, there's AR Fox chants everywhere. He's wearing Nick Wayne's bloody shirt, or his own shirt, but it's bloodied with Nick Wayne's blood. He tossed the shirt to Nick Wayne's mom at ringside, which she gets more airtime than half the roster. They were showing her, they must have done 15 camera cuts to her. But this match was like mostly a beatdown of Nick Wayne. They beat down Darby a few times. Nick Wayne kept kicking out of things. He had a bloody nose and he's fighting them 1-on-2. I guess it was a tornado match. I asked on Twitter. Somebody said it was. I missed them saying it was.
They said that during the introductions.
Okay, I missed that. So that's bad. That's me.
But they didn't plug it as a tornado match.
No, and they, to be fair, like they never once weren't being a tornado match. Like they were, it was nonstop brawling the whole time. This is where I noticed that the announcer at ringside, actually, I didn't notice it before, because Darby did this freaking insane dive, catapulted himself into the guys, into the thing, into the table. And then, there was one point when Nick Wayne is like, he's lying dead in the ring and he gets up and he's got the bloody nose and they got the two heels that are like menacing over him. And the crowd should have been like just fired up for Wayne. And they're still chanting for AR Fox. Like this was just so bizarre. And then Swerve kicked his head off. Fox hit a corkscrew brainbuster, but Nick kicked out. Then he hit another twisting move, but only got 2. Swerve kicked him in the back of the neck. And then suddenly, like, I don't know, I lost track because I was so bloody confused by what was happening. Nick hits a 450 and pins Fox while Darby was holding Swerve's feet. So after all this, Nick, who isn't even in the match, gets a pin over AR Fox.
I don't think that's right.
That is right. That's exactly
I don't think he hit the 450 for the pin. It was AR.
No, he hit the 450 and then he like
AR Fox missed the his flip. And then Nick Wayne rolled him up. Yeah. Okay. So he went for that's fair. I was so baffled by this. I was just like, okay, and this is why AR Fox was getting cheered because it's his home. Yes.
So I guess that's probably why they figured the post-match angle would work. But at the time, before I knew what was going to happen, I was like, what is going on here? Like Nick Wayne is not even in this match and he pins one of the guys in the match. And where's the heat? Like,
I thought for certain it was going to be he's come back too soon type of a thing. They beat him down for the heat. Sting makes the save, and that goes into the heat for the match at Wembley. I was, and then this happened, and then we get an angle out of it. And
yeah. So after the match, Swerve grabs a mic and he said, "This is disappointing." And he looks at Fox and he says, "You're disappointing. Why are you such a loser? Little did you know this was a test. It was all a test. You can't be an 18-year-old child that I whipped the floor with. I can't trust you. I can't trust you in front of 80,000 people at Wembley." So all of a sudden, Brian Cage shows up and attacks, and he takes out AR Fox. So I'm like, okay, whatever. They're just making a switch. AR Fox. I assume, maybe AR Fox can't. Somebody pointed this out. They assumed, same thing I did, that maybe AR Fox can't leave the country or something like that, or can't go to England.
That's a possibility, but that doesn't feel right.
Well, I've heard that this was the plan all along.
Yes.
So Brian Cage shows up and he attacks. I figure, okay, he's the partner, and that's fine. Whatever. We're gonna get Brian Cage and Swerve against Nick, against Darby and Sting, and you know what? That's actually sounds like a fun match. And then all of a sudden, Nick Wayne, Darby, and Sting all show up, and they make the save for AR Fox. AR Fox, who, keep in mind, at the beginning of all this, was wearing a bloody tank top with Nick Wayne's blood on it, and
they did a home invasion where they
did a home invasion, tried to kill him.
This is turn the other cheek on steroids right here. I mean, me and Kevin Ely are men of faith, and it's one of those things where, like, forgive your enemies. Not immediately.
Yeah. So then Darby grabs a mic. Well, look, Darby says, "I love you. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. I take my hand." And then he looks at Swerve and he says, "Swerve, you're stupider than I thought. 80,000 in London. What are you going to do? Who you got?" Brian Cage is right beside him. And
I'm watching. I'm starting to groan. I'm like, oh God, we're getting Cage for this match.
Well, we are.
Yeah, yes, but yeah. And then I hear the groans, and then I hear the crowd starting to groan a bit. I'm like, okay, who's in the ring?
You know what?
Who's in the ring?
Keith Lee. That's what I thought. I thought Keith Lee was going to attack Darby from behind. That's what I was expecting. But no, we get Christian Cage, Brian's brother, and he's out there with Luchasaurus. And even then, I'm like, okay, who is it? Is it Luchasaurus? Like,
that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, I think it's going to be Luchasaurus, who's can do the garbage stuff.
Now Christian cuts a promo, and he's like, "Darby and Sting, are you going to introduce me to your little friend, Nick Wayne?" He says, "Nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. I heard your story. I understand you got a father, and your father's dead."
Wait, hold on. I have a draft for a Jungle Boy promo. All I got to do is replace Jungle Boy with Nick Wayne.
Maybe they're going to bring in Jack Perry to be in this match. Like, what is going on here? And he says, "Yeah, your father's dead." He said, "I understand your father was a pro wrestler." Well, I never heard of Buddy Wayne, so he must not have been any good. And he says, "Because your father was a talentless hack, you don't have much to live up to." I think I made that point on this
Christian is trying to get to the point where -1 turns 18 so he can cut this same promo on him too.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's going to do it when he's 12 probably. And he says, "I want to warn you, Nick, steer clear of Wembley on Sunday. Watch that coffin door close on someone you love for the second time." and the crowd,
I love the heat this was getting, but
the crowd hated him for this.
Oh,
and
it was fantastic stuff, but at the same time,
Jonathan nailed it here. And this is true too. Miguel, Fox looks like a jabroni, Darby looks like a fool, and Wayne and Sting just watched awkwardly. Yeah, that nails it.
Okay, but by the end of this promo, I'm like, all right, what's the match?
Yeah. Well,
I thought it was 4-on-4 after that. I thought it was gonna be a 4-on-4 coffin.
And now we're
match.
getting is it gonna be Fox and Nick and Darby and Sting? Like, that would make sense actually. And
you know what I think? I think they're gonna do a straight tag coffin match to set up something for All Out.
Could be.
And then that'll be 4-on-4, maybe.
Yeah. Well, he finishes by saying, "If you play your cards right, I'll be there to mentor you when it's over." I'm like, oh, good God. Every fatherless child needs a mentor, and there's no better mentor than the TNT champion.
Yes.
And then Excalibur has to remind us that Luchasaurus is the TNT champion, not Christian.
Yeah.
But if you pay real close attention, every time he does this, he never actually says that he's the champion. He just lets you come to your own conclusion,
Correct.
which is great. I love the gimmick.
No, Christian's fantastic doing this. It's just one of those things where I'm like, my God, we're gonna go this dark. Okay.
At least now the fact that we had Christian and Darby wrestling for 3 days on Collision,
but now
makes sense.
You bring up, but then again, Nick Wayne has to be involved in this match now.
Well, of course he will.
You can't. Well, but you can't. But what I'm saying is he's not advertised for this tag match.
No,
or this coffin match. Nick Wayne is not advertised at all. And he is still the focal point of this feud, and that is confusing. Now it's a blood feud because you've brought up Dead Dad, and
he's still not in the match, and he's perfectly capable of wrestling. We just saw him get the win.
Yes,
like, oh man, this is so weird. This is so weird. But and I said, like, because I knew this was coming. And what I had told a good friend about it, I didn't want to spoil it for him, but I just said, "Don't worry, there's a major change coming to a match, but it's not going to make a difference."
Tony warned of a few changes, so
and this was one of them. But this is the one he was talking about that was planned. Like, this was the plan all along, was Christian and to be in this match and not AR Fox. Like, why they went the way they went to get there, I don't know, but I understand this was the reason. Next, we go to Renee again. And
I'm checking Wikipedia to see if they've updated the card.
Well, they did say the card later, and it is Christian.
Well, no. I just mean at the live Collision taping, if they've announced anything about this. No, now it's Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve and Christian Cage in a coffin.
Yeah, that's the match. Yeah, okay. No, that's what Excalibur said later in the show.
Huh.
He did it at hyperspeed, but I wrote it all down.
I think I went to the John during that time.
Okay, fair enough. That's what I would have done if I had a life. We got Renee with FTR and the Bucks, and she mentions that 2 weeks in a row, the FTR saved them, and Bucks say, "We owe you owe us one, or we owe you one." And Cash said, "It's not because we're pals or buddy. We want to know who's better. No excuses." And Renee said, "This is the rubber match in front of 80,000 fans. It's the biggest match of you guys' career. All in." Matt says, "All in. We didn't think we could get 10,000 people in there. Now it's 8 times over. We're made men, but FTR needs to win this. We don't." And Cash says, because he says that when we retire, the fans are going to say we're the best tag team of all time. Well, that was later, and then they're going to say FTR is the team that the Bucks named on their YouTube show. So they just went back and forth talking about legacy. Dax saying it's more than the titles. He starts talking about his family, and Matt interrupted him, and he did the exact same imitation of Dax that MJF did a few weeks ago, which was kind of funny. And then they ended up basically Dax said that they jumped on our popularity and they'll never beat FTR. Every time you say the foundation, we're the foundation now. And Matt says, "See you at Wembley." This was fine.
No, it wasn't. It was worse than fine.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you.
My partner on Shake Them Ropes is going to knit a flag about this promo. I can guarantee it, because he is tired of this Young Bucks passive aggressive crap when they're baby faces. And that's the thing that doesn't make sense. I get the snarky remarks on I get that, but you can't bring, look, the Elite are here, hooray, they're going against Bullet Club Gold, and they're the baby face, and then they come out here and they go, "We don't need this match."
Yeah.
What?
And
no, that's not the way you
FTR's save of the Elite early in the show was they did nothing. I don't know if you noticed.
Well, they did. Well, it was odd because I'm watching the beatdown, and there's a moment there where Cash can turn around and just hit Nick Jackson or Matt Jackson. Are we gonna start calling one of them Bucks bald and Bucks hair? No offense. But it's one of those things where you could see him. He could nail him in the back if he wanted to, and I thought that would have been fine too.
Yeah,
comes out for the save and just nails the Bucks, and then you can have this type of tension type thing. But now the Bucks just seem like ungrateful jerks for the save.
Well, they always come off like that, don't they?
Yes, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And, I don't mind them being, I guess they're healing them up a bit for the match, and that's fine because somebody's gonna have to be a heel in this match. But I
think they're both. I think the fans are going to be chanting, "Let's go Bucks!"
Yes, because both these teams fight forever. You're gonna get all that.
Yeah,
it's just the Bucks can't. The Bucks are always such a turnoff when they're the baby faces in a feud. It's one of those things that's
well, there isn't any babyface in the
well,
this
there
feud.
isn't, but there is. I mean, they're both kind of babies in this thing, but the Bucks are always coming off as jerks. Whenever they came off as jerks in the Dark Order Hangman story, they came off as jerks in the. It's just one of those things where it's like we get the sniping, but it's one of those things where it just didn't feel like it should have gone that far.
You know what? You know what?
You're a football FTR.
You know what the Bucks are? Like, I think, like maybe even in real life, I think the Bucks are like the character that MJF is playing.
Yes,
they're assholes, but they're your assholes. Like,
no,
we love them anyways.
And I mean, over the years, people have dealt with them in PWG and stuff like that. There's been rumors of that, so yeah.
But not like maliciously. They're just
not malicious. It's just that's them.
Kind of like Sean, like a little bit. Not as bad as Sean. Michaels.
Sean who?
Michaels.
Oh, Michaels. Oh, yeah. Can't be as bad as Michaels.
No, not as bad, but kind of cut from that same cloth. And I think like, isn't he kind of like their hero? Like I could be wrong.
Yeah, I didn't think you need to dismiss FTR all the way in this because it's like this is one of those things where it's like, no, you build this up as a dream match for you and legacies and all that other stuff, and the Bucks are, hey, we don't need this. We're the heart of the elite.
Yeah, and we'll quit at some point.
Okay, so why should we care if you win this match?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Sorry to turn you on the program.
No, that's okay. No, I trust me. When I said it's fine, I just didn't want to say it sucked.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Highlights of Rampage we got showing Sheeta pinning Ruby Soho, which is great to set up this match where Ruby Soho is going to win. Britt made the save. We got a Tony promo, and it was just basically building up the 4-way at Allin. Sheeta finished it off by saying she's unstoppable, and at Allin, she'll take it all. She had a bit of an English accent in her promo.
Yeah, you get that. It's almost like she was learning English through somebody with a British accent.
Yeah,
because you also get that when she was talking about the. I still love her pronunciation of Ullman's women's title.
Women's title, yeah.
It comes off with a very British, and also if you watch,
maybe she's learning from Julia.
Well, if you watch I know you don't like RJ City, but the Hey You. That with Sheeta is fantastic, but yes, he also mentions a little bit of an English accent there with it. Yeah, she does speak with a bit of a British accent when she speaks English. She might have been raised in Hong Kong. That might have been something too. I haven't looked up where she was raised, but
I should clarify what I said earlier. And when I say clarify, I think I kind of actually worded it wrong. What I meant about the Bucks was I don't know what they're like in real life. I don't know what they're like in real life, but I'm talking like the characters that they play on the screen are the same character that MJF is playing. They're assholes. Like their characters are assholes. And they've always been like that, but the fans love them
when they're
anyways.
heels, they're great assholes.
Right. But even when they're baby faces, they're still assholes, but the fans love them. It doesn't matter. They can do no wrong. So it's kind of hard to turn them heel, especially in AEW, because the fans are going to cheer them anyways.
I just think the interplay between the two of them is off, and somebody need to brainstorm it a bit.
So here you go. You were kind of on the right path here. She learned it from watching Harry Potter, so that's why she has an English accent. So that's
we have cool. A running annotation as we go. I'm kind of scared to say something.
All right, fair enough. So Ruby Soho and Skye Blue is next. I don't have a lot to say about this match. There's no heat. I
have less than nothing to say about this match.
Yeah, well, Ruby did a promo before the match where she said one of her best friends is going to walk out with the belt, and that's great. And I've got my sights set on another belt, the TBS title. So I guess maybe she's going to get a shot at All Out. I don't know.
At this point, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why did we not hype up the 4-way with this segment?
Well, we had the video package before that.
No, Paul, you don't get out of it that easy.
Because we're doing it on Rampage?
I mean. Oh, F off. No, I don't want it on Rampage. This is the Tiffany show. You put all the product on here.
Well, the 4-way that they're doing on Rampage, they could have put here. The tag match.
Give me something live or something where they're good, like in 4 different parts of the arena and cutting promos on each other or something.
Yeah, they could have done that.
I mean, that's better than a Skye Blue match any day.
And this match went long.
Yes.
And it had no heat. And
And it didn't matter for anything on the pay-per-view because Ruby's
No.
not on the pay-per-view either.
And Ruby just lost on Rampage.
This was your Guns Cody match.
Yeah, but
in
at
the
least
midst of the go. This was to please Sam.
This is what I was talking about when I said that there was one match that didn't have anything to do with the pay-per-view, but at least Ruby's going to be in the corner probably of Saraya and Tony. So Tony did come out at the beginning with her, but then left. Saraya, I believe, is in England, so that's why she couldn't be here. Although, is she not in a match on? I wrote down the
Saraya or Saraya.
Yeah,
she's in the
on Rampage. No, on Rampage.
Oh, on Rampage? No, I don't think so. I think she's already over there doing media and stuff to try and get that final push for the over 80.
I'm just watching
or 86. No, I'll let you go through this. It was flattering.
No, there's nothing else. I got nothing to say. Like,
no, but I mean, this is one.
Ruby won with the no future and the destination unknown.
I've been having an argument with people in my other Discord all week about how arena shows have kind of ruined the actual television build of wrestling because you can't have quiet promos in an arena type match, and you can't get people to come to an arena to watch the taping of a show. And the problem is the wrestling fans for AEW hate the television aspects of the wrestling show. They don't want to see promos. They don't want to see angles. They want to see matches. And it's screwing things up in some ways.
I was correct. That match I talked about is happening on Rampage, but it was already taped.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker against Toni Storm and Saraya.
The WWE style. We're going to have a four-way. Let's see if both teams can coexist.
Yeah,
and then it'll break down into
Yeah, but that makes sense because I knew I'd heard that and I couldn't find it in my notes.
Okay.
But it is booked. I checked. It's on WrestlingObserver.com.
All I need is to buy that the other three women can possibly win this match and that it's important to them. And they really didn't do that. It was just one of those. Tony's been doing good work here. I think Shida's been doing good work.
Yeah. Tony's got this new character that everyone loves and everything.
I do love this character by Tony Storm. I do. It's great.
Next, we got that segment we talked about earlier with Roddy Strong in the Kingdom, and he says the MJF Cole relationship has struck a nerve, or she asked, "It struck a nerve with you. What do you know that we don't know?" And Roddy says, "I'll tell you what I know. At the end of the night, we're going to find out who the real MJF is and who the real Adam Cole is." And that's all he said. Short. I
like this as a cliffhanger. I think we're going to be very disappointed in the
no matter what happens, he told us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you come out of this and MJF might churn. Adam Cole might churn. Either way.
The return of Matt Hardy in the Kingdom.
I think whoever churns is going to be with Roddy. I think that was what was clear after this.
Yes.
And the Kingdom, of course. And I mean, obviously Adam Cole makes sense. So, and maybe with Britt Baker in the Maria role because she hasn't been around. They haven't been showing her with the Kingdom really at all.
Not the past couple of weeks, but she's been around mostly with them.
Yeah. So who knows? I think Britt, was it again? We'll go back to James and Kevin. They suggested that if Britt and or Adam Cole win, the other one's going to win too.
Yeah,
and maybe they're both going to be heels as champions. I don't know.
I don't think Britt's win the women's title, so I don't think that matters.
Yeah, maybe that's a clue then. We got a House of Act video package. This TSN was acting up on me again here, so I didn't really get much of it. But
it was the same package they showed on.
Collision. I thought it looked familiar. Yeah, because the boots in the trash compactor at the end of it. Billy Gunn's boots. So that leads into the Acclaim. They're coming out with no music because they're ready to fight, and they grab Mike. We're still standing. They call it the House of Black. Lights went out, came back on. They made their entrance. Lights went out again. Now they're in the ring. And it didn't go well for them. They're getting beat on 3-on-2, and crowd's chanting for Billy. And Acclaim music hits, and out comes Billy. And he walks out to the ring very slowly. And the House of Black just calmly left. I guess they were scared of this 58-year-old jacked up freak. And he grabs a mic and he says, "You wanted my attention, you got it. A couple weeks ago after you beat me, I sat there, unlaced my boots, and did the two hardest things I've ever done. Walked out on Max and Anthony. I left behind a good career, and I was okay with that. But last week you jumped them, you busted Max open, you hurt one of my kids. But that wasn't good enough. You took my boots and you destroyed them. Took me 32 years to build this. I've done stuff that'll go down in wrestling history. I'm a Hall of Famer, and you pissed all over it. So for that, one more time at All or Nothing. One more time, it's All or Nothing at All In. Wembley Stadium, 80,000 people. I'm going to take everything from you. At All In, it's going to be the House of Black versus the Acclaimed. And unfortunately, Daddy Ass can't make this trip, but there's a guy we thought we'd never see again. I guarantee you wish you'd never seen him again either, and that's a badass Billy Gunn. And we got the match. Third time now. Billy reminded us in his promo that they've already done this match twice, and both matches were squashes, but supposedly this match...
First of all, I've done stuff that'll go down in wrestling history.
Yeah.
DX, you're kind of a threat.
I talked about one of them today, and I think that's what he was referring to, honestly. Pushing Terry Funk off the...
okay, yes, the trash.
That's probably the most memorable thing he's ever done.
Here is where Jeff's logical brain goes into overdrive a bit. All right, so Billy Gunn was retired, correct?
Yeah, supposedly.
Yes. Okay. Until last week when he saw this beatdown of his boys.
Yeah.
And so he decided to come to the arena tonight. Why isn't he there with the Acclaimed when they come out? Is he just hanging around in catering? Oh, by the way.
Well, why didn't Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends come out at the same time as Eddie and...
They did.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't.
Eddie.
They came out at the very end of that segment, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. This happens all the time in AEW.
The logic is missing everywhere. But my point is, why is he at the arena? Oh, okay. So he's at the arena because he was angry about the beatdown last week.
No, he's a retired wrestler just hanging out with his friends.
Did he not say hello to the Acclaim? Did he not shake hands?
No. He was talking. He was probably talking with Jeff Jarrett and sharing memories about Terry Funk.
Are we gonna get a report? Billy Gunn did not go around shaking hands with the locker room as a retired wrestler.
Yeah, he just showed up. He was, you know what? He was backstage. They were sharing Terry Funk stories over a beer. And
he was brainstorming dead dad promos with Christian.
There you go, with Christian, yeah. And then he just happened to glance over to monitor and he saw his boys getting beat down. And he's like, oh, I can't have this.
I was in Tony's office. I was just in Tony's office shooting the shit.
Hey, you know what? You know what he did? You know, Matt's got a point here. I got two words for you. I mean, nobody remembers anything Lou Les and Bruno Sammartino did, but they remember Billy Gunn saying, suck it!
Yes, they remember him yelling, suck it.
Yeah.
He's the one that Butterbean didn't knock out. Yes, I remember.
Yeah. And they remember The Rock going, hello, God, Billy?
Well, no. He also took the wrath of Edge and Christian's greatest promo, where Edge didn't want to Billy Gunn, the King of the Ring.
Yeah. And I remember that. I just remember that promo with The Rock imitating Billy Gunn, talking to God. And
yes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Do they have the rights to Ass Man? Maybe they can play that at Wembley.
Oh, Tony will pay through the teeth for that. Over under on the number of songs that we get that Tony paid for on All In.
I'm gonna say I think Like a Prayer will come up.
Oh, for sure.
I think Grado's showing up there. Man, you know,
Sympathy for the Devil for MJF again, maybe.
Yeah. I think they should have Dalton Castle on this card and play Radio Gaga, since that was Wembley Live Aid biggest moment to me is Freddie Mercury there, and then give Emi Sakura a Queen song too. But I'm gonna say over under is at 3.
I'll go 4.5.
Okay.
Because I want some new stuff. I want some stuff special for All In.
Yeah, well, I think we're getting Kansas for the Golden Elite.
Maybe. Well, yeah, but that's standard at this point,
right?
Maybe get Fifth of Beethoven by for Jack Perry. Oh no, he's not even on the card. That's right. Oh, right. Maybe we don't know yet. Maybe we haven't seen Collision.
No, he's not. They're saving that for All Out.
All right. Okay. Speaking of Collision, we got Jay, Swerve, Luchasaurus, and Brian Cage against Punk, Darby, Sting, and a mystery partner with Samoa Joe on commentary. We got Orange Cassidy, Penta.
Pick your mystery partner, because I already have.
Nick Wayne? I don't know.
I have
AR
Dustin.
Fox?
I think Dustin.
Oh, maybe.
Since it's in Duluth.
Oh, yeah. But it's an all-in thing. Doesn't everyone have to? Well, no, I was gonna say everyone has to be on all-in. Luchasaurus isn't on all-in. Ryan Cage isn't on all-in. Like,
right.
Yeah. It's a weird match, man.
I agree.
Yeah. Dustin and Sting teaming up would be kind of cool, eh?
It sounds like the type of thing to have a moment for Dustin.
Yeah. No, I could see that.
And I think he takes the fall.
Yeah, probably. No, Brian Cage. That's the guy who's gonna take the fall.
Okay.
Jay isn't even on. Oh no, he is in that Elite versus Bullet Club Gold match. Orange Cassidy, Penta, and Eddie against Butcher, Blade, and Kip. We're gonna get Jack Perry retiring the FTW title, and we'll hear from the Stars in London. 0 Hours got the ROH Tag Team title, and that's the only thing that they're advertising, and supposedly the only thing on it, unless they've changed their minds. All In, MJF and Adam Cole, Bucks and FTR, Punk and Joe, Jericho and Ospreay, Golden Elite against Jay Juice and Takeshita, 4-way women's match, the House of Black against the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn for the Trios titles, the Stadium Stampede 5-on-5, and Darby and Sting against Swerve and Christian. And then for All Out, not quite as loaded up card. Powerhouse Hobbs against Miro and Darby against Luchasaurus.
Yep.
$50. Sign up now. And then we got the main event. Aussie Open and the Hardy Boys for the ROH Tag Team titles. They did a couple minutes and then they went to commercial. I noted that the Hardys looked a little better than they did against the Bucks, but still not great. They got a couple, Matt was, he's hitting all his moves and a couple great near falls, but eventually they Jeff Hardy hit a splash on Fletcher. Davis made the save. Fletcher powerbombed Hardy, and then they hit something called the Aussie Arrow on Jeff for the win. And that was that. Not too. Oh, I like this. Hangman is the mystery partner. That'd be kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I would totally be into that. So that was fine. Anything about this match? There's nothing to this match, right?
No.
Yeah, this is just a showcase to set up what was going to happen after the match, which was Mark Davis grabbing a mic, told the fans to shut up, and he gave the mic to Kyle. They basically cut the same promo they did on Rampage. No double clothesline, no kangaroo kick, and we'll still be the ROH Tag Team Champions, baby. And that was fighting words. So out comes MJF and Adam Cole. They did a stare off, and I noted that the world title contenders or competitors looked like tiny little boys compared to these massive Aussie Open.
Yes.
I don't know. I
was just happy that Aussie Open were allowed to talk. They should have been a 3 or 4 week program where Aussie Open is pissed.
They're good.
These two think that they could come in and be world tag team championships when they're not tag team specialists. That's all I want really was Aussie Open being
in front of their country.
Yeah.
That's another issue, but
wow. Australia is not the same as England.
They're from Australia, dude.
That's what I just told you.
Okay.
You said
they're making fun of Australia.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in England.
No. I meant MJF and MJF with his stupid kangaroo kick and everything. So they come out, they did the stare off, then they start brawling, and Aussie Open's getting the better of it. Then they go to hit Cole with a double clothesline, but MJF jumped on Mark Davis's back, or Kyle Fletcher's back to make the save. Cole hit Mark Davis with a pump kick. They went for the double clothesline on Mark Davis, but he bagged out. And then MJF was setting up to go for the kangaroo kick, and the TSN feed ended. I set my PVR to go 3 minutes overtime on every week, and it froze with MJF kind of posed up. I tweeted out the picture, but what happened after?
Paul, I have important news to report here.
What's that?
After Dynamite went off the air, in the arena, guess what song they played?
Never Gonna
The
Stop.
The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Oh my goodness. Really?
And MJF is dancing in it.
Oh,
and it is wonderfully horrible.
And Matt, we are going to do this right after we're finished talking about what I don't have the betting odds, but we'll just talk about who we think are going to win and what we think is going to happen. So what happened after? Did MJF hit the kangaroo kick?
No, he did not.
Okay, that's good.
Mark Davis came up and and hit MJF so he couldn't hit the kangaroo kick. Eventually,
Oh yeah, I remember what you told me before the show.
Cole gets Fletcher down.
Yeah.
And then he asks MJF to pick him up. MJF holds him so that Adam Cole can super kick him. Adam Cole goes for the super kick. Fletcher gets out of the way. MJF catches the kick and just stares a hole through him. And you hear the ooh, and then hug it out, and then they hug it out.
All right. So we basically got a real good tease.
Yes.
And we probably, I'm guessing, think there's probably a look in Adam Cole's eye like he was totally fine if he would have hit him. But then they did the hug anyways. Like he didn't look like he, like upset.
MJF had a nice look. It was kind of a mix of disappointed and angry at the same time.
Okay.
I kind of dug it.
Okay. I'll have to go check it out.
This segment sort of changed my mind a bit. And I don't know if it did you, but
well, I didn't see it.
That's true.
But based on what you told me, I'm thinking there's a decent chance MJF's going to turn.
I think there's a decent chance that Cole just.
Well, I've been thinking Cole the whole time, so I think it's good that we don't know.
Okay,
I really do. So that was Dynamite, and we got a few minutes left where we can talk about the card. All in, of course, Sunday morning, 9:00 your time, 11:00 my time. So it'd be done like by mid-afternoon, which is nice.
I'll be at church, so I'll be probably.
Oh yeah, you're gonna watch on delay. Yeah, I'll probably watch on delay too. Although I am doing a post show with Garrett on this channel. I think Garrett and Jeremy Feinstone. So we'll be up at I think 3:00 Pacific, so 6 Eastern, 5 Central. So we got the all-in card here. So we talked about the main event. I think MJF's retaining, regardless of who turns on who. What do you think?
I think MJF retains. I think it's an Eddie Guerrero match where they're both Eddie Guerrero.
Okay.
And they're both just trying to cheat the hell out of each other. I think there's more than one ref bump, and they each exchange different times to cheat during those ref bumps. And at the end, they hug it out.
I also don't think they're winning the ROH tag team titles, but
I didn't think that at first. And I thought it'd be a bad move to do that, but I think they're winning them.
Well, I think, and if they win them, then they're probably losing them to the Kingdom, and maybe that's where the turn's going to come.
Yes.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. All right, we got Bucks and FTR. They told us it doesn't matter, so I don't care. Like, I really don't. I mean, it's going to be a great match, but I have no idea who's going to win, and I don't care either.
They just re-signed the Bucks.
Yeah.
I think the Bucks win. I don't want them to, but I'd much rather have FTR win this match because I think
it doesn't matter.
I think they're legacy building a lot more than the Bucks, and I think they're a better team than the Bucks. But that's me.
And there's no real obvious challenger on the horizon, really, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I think it's gonna be a great match. So, Jericho and Ospreay. I think Ospreay's winning. I think Ospreay has to win.
I agree.
But
I think it's by cheating.
Yeah, and I think this match is gonna be great. I think this match might be the best match on the show.
I can't get there because I think Chris Jericho is going to try hard. Let's put it that way. But okay. I don't think he's going to get to that level of it being great.
Well, it's going to be as good as you can get from Chris Jericho, probably.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, and Will's great. So
yes.
Golden Elite, which of course is Hangman, Kota Ibushi, and who else? Kenny, right?
Page
against Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Konosuke Takeshita. This also could steal the show. This could be the best match on the show.
Yes.
In fact, I'll bet you like the Dave Meltzer betting odds for stars, probably like 5.25. And that I think I take the over. This match, I said the other one, Jericho and Ospreay might be the best match. So this is probably gonna be this one actually. And
I'm gonna give an interesting pick for what I think is gonna be the best match. But
I think Juice and Takeshita have to win this.
Oh, do you? I think Juice is taking the fall here.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking if we're building up Kenny and Takeshita at All Out, which I think most people think, unless Omega pins.
I think that happens after the match.
Okay. Maybe Omega gets the pin and then Takeshita attacks him. Okay, we could do that. Yeah. The 4-way women's match. Okay, you said earlier you don't think Britt Baker's winning. I think she is. But I'd love
I
to see
think
Sheeta
Sheeta.
retain.
I think Sheeta retains, or I think Saraya could win it for like a transitional thing.
Any chance we see Jamie Hayter present the title?
Maybe.
Especially if it's a babyface. I think you got to get Jamie Hayter on the show. Like, I know she can't wrestle and everything, but I think you got to let her appear in front of that crowd.
I think there's a chance we might get a debut here to challenge whoever wins this match.
Mariah May. We didn't talk about that, but
maybe Mariah, maybe
Julia
Monet.
Yeah, that's a possibility too. She's got to be close, right?
It's a big event. You want something coming out of it.
Yeah. Mariah, I know like there's rumors that AEW is signing her, but I think she's got a couple more months left on her Stardom deal.
Yeah, it's not gonna be Mariah May.
Yeah, could be Julia. They could do like Julia, like they can just use her if they want to. But I'd like Monet. I'd like that.
I don't think that pops a crowd much like the ex Sasha Banks.
Yeah. I like what Dennis said here. If you can carry a concussed Naito, you can carry a motivated Jericho.
No, that's true.
Yeah, and he literally carried him. You got to see that match. That was one of the best matches.
But I just feel like Jericho's going to want to do a lot of flippy stuff, and there are times where you watch those matches and you just go, "Chris, man, that was 20 years ago."
Ospreay doesn't do as many flips as he used to. So
no, that's true too.
All right, House of Black against Acclaimed and Billy Gunn for the trios titles. I think Acclaimed Billy Gunn got to win.
I think Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed win this, and they get a new trios chance.
They gotta, and hopefully short reign. I wouldn't mind seeing them drop the titles at some point to Darby, Nick, and Sting, but we'll see. Here, Matt's got a good question. Any chance that Adam Copeland debuting? Edge and SRS are saying that the contract's over in September. There was word that came out today that they made him an offer. He didn't like it. He told them what it
that doesn't shock me either.
He told them what it would take to keep him, and they said, "That's cool. See ya."
Oh no, I was thinking AEW made an offer.
No. Well, they probably did. So Edge went to WWE and said, "This is what it's going to take to keep me," which is probably whatever AEW offered him. And
I'm on the other side of the fence. I don't think Edge comes to AEW.
I was thinking that he was until I saw what they did on SmackDown. And
if he does for a one shot, maybe later, but I just can't see it. I think WWE has done too much for his family and for his wife's. And
so if you're gonna put odds, you're like real low, like 5%.
I will go 25%.
Okay, I will go 15.
Okay,
I'll go even lower than you, but there's a chance. Because I mean, the fact that they're saying it's over, I mean,
I don't think dream matches and work rate are what motivates Edge. I think the thing that would motivate Edge is hanging with his friends a little bit.
Yeah,
like Christian, one last run with Christian. I think that'd be it.
And then we can have FTR Bald, FTR Hair, and FTR Grit.
All right, let's get to the rest of these matches.
All right, we're just about done. The Stadium Stampede. So it's Proud and Powerful, Santana Ortiz and the BCC against Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and can't even remember who else. Do you?
Proud and Powerful.
No, they're on the heel team.
Yeah, you said Blackpool Combat Club.
Oh, Penta.
Yeah,
Penta's the fifth.
Sorry.
I don't think it matters who wins. Like, I mean, I assume the Blackpool Combat Club team is going to win. If they don't, it's probably because they couldn't get along with Proud and Powerful.
I think heels continue to win and drive Eddie Kingston even more nuts. I think that's the call here.
I think this is leading to Eddie and Mox probably at All Out.
You know what? Could be Orange Cassidy beating Moxley here.
Yeah. I think we're getting Orange Cassidy and Moxley probably at Grand Slam.
I think so, and that's why I think you have something that just sets Moxley off. And so if Orange Cassidy beats him.
Yeah. And if we get Eddie Kingston and Moxley at All Out, I could see Moxley losing, setting up Eddie Kingston a challenge for the title at Grand Slam.
Okay.
I think there's legs in that. I wouldn't have him win. I know some people would like to see him win, but and then the coffin match, Darby and Sting against Swerve and Chris.
I think this
Christian.
might steal the show.
Really?
I think Sting's insane.
Well, yeah, we know that. And we're going to have all kinds of involvement, right? Nick Wayne's going to get involved. AR Fox is going to get involved.
Maybe. I don't know. They might just do these four and just let
them AR Fox, we don't even know if he can get
Luchasaurus is going to be involved. So, yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
And then Nick Wayne takes out Luchasaurus or something to that effect. Sure.
Yeah.
You missed a match.
I did?
Punk and Joe.
Oh, I did. You're right. Yeah. For the Real World's title. Punk's got to win, right?
Punk's going to win this.
Yeah.
Are these two gonna get the time to do the kind of match that would make Phil happy?
Well,
look at this card. There's 10 match. There's 1 match and 9 on the regular thing. And
the show starts at 5:00 London time, so they probably got till midnight.
Okay.
I don't
so
know.
It might be a jam band show.
Could be.
Okay.
I mean, and there's probably stuff that hasn't been announced yet.
Well, the Great O Jeff Jarrett thing.
Great O Jeff. I think there might be one more match too.
That they haven't added yet.
Yeah. You know what match
is it
cut,
Nigel?
Right? No.
What?
No. I think the women's match is probably gonna get cut. Not cut, but cut for time.
Cut for time?
Like they're gonna lose time. They're gonna get like 8 minutes.
Stadium Stampede's gonna go long.
Yeah. MJF Cole's gonna go long for sure.
The Bucks and FTR is gonna go long.
Yeah.
Because the Bucks are gonna want to do
25 minutes. And then the entrances are gonna be long, right? At Wembley?
Yes.
Yeah. You might be. Yeah, if Punk, we might have a hissy fit.
Someone's gonna get mad.
Yeah.
At this show. That's my prediction. Is somebody backstage is gonna be mad about their Andrade's not on it, so it can't be him.
I could see the Golden Elite match maybe losing some time and then just doing like a crazy 12-minute just nuts, like just boom, 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 like everything.
And I can see the coffin match also getting cut for time, and then just
I didn't count the matches. Nuts. I got them all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There's 9 6, on the main card, 1 on the pre-show.
Good. That's a lot.
Yes.
And none that look like they would be short. Right?
I'm going to be fascinated by the time we get to the end of the night how the crowd's going to be.
I think they're going to be loud, like for everything.
I think, okay, but at what point do they lose it? Do they lose it during the women's match, unfortunately?
Could be.
Do they lose it? Do they not go for Punk and Joe because they're big Elite fans?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe they turn on them like Goldberg and Brock at
I do look as the person who first brought it up. I love the idea of Goldberg as MJF's Hebrew Hammer. I really do.
I do too, and I can picture the promos of MJF saying, "I grew up and there was one Jewish hero in pro wrestling."
Yes,
and that was Bill Goldberg.
And Roddy and Cole, Taven and Bennett are tiny.
Yeah,
and Goldberg would run through them like butter and be awesome.
And then MJF grabs his ring and punches out Cole because
if we want to do that, sure.
Yeah,
I'm a scumbag, but and they just turns and goes, "I'm a scumbag, but I'm your scumbag."
And that music, Tony can either buy it or a reasonable facsimile of it. And I mean, if they play anything with the dun dun dun, everyone will know it's Goldberg, right? And the fans will go nuts, absolutely nuts.
Yes,
for Goldberg, and then he'd have to run down that. He'd be blown up by the time he got to the ring.
You're right.
When they're gonna lose. When they're gonna lose interest is House of Black against Acclaimed and Billy. That's when they're gonna lose their interest. I think, unless they do that early.
If that match goes too long, they will. But they're gonna love that entrance. They're gonna love the scissoring, and they're gonna love. Caster's gonna have a long time to rap if he wants.
80,000 people scissoring. Yes. Yeah, scissor me, daddy.
And that's all scissoring. They want to do the sing-alongs and stuff. So,
yeah. No, Dennis says, I would not wait until All Out. I would use this to build interest in All Out.
Yes, but I think that's a danger. I think if you do, I mean, it's like that thing where it's like you do one pay-per-view to set up the other, and you're telling that entire audience, you know what, this doesn't matter. It's the stuff in Chicago that's going to matter next week.
You know what? But they're going to get a great show. They've got 80,000 people in the building. They've got, have you heard 90,000 pre-orders? In the U.S. alone, this show's doing massive pay-per-view buys. They might do 300,000 buys for this show. And their record is 205. Like for an afternoon show in the UK, it's unbelievable.
I'm saying though, you don't want to kill the town. That's all I'm saying.
So does that kill the town?
You want to make it feel like it's a singular, famous landmark event as opposed to It's just the setup for next week, guys. I think that I hope Tony's not doing that. But I think those British fans will get pissed at that. I gotta be honest with you. They want that show to feel special. They've wanted their WrestleMania. They've wanted their big card. They've wanted their G1 final, whatever, stadium show, and this is it. And they're coming all out for this. And you tell them, oh, the cliffhanger for next week in Chicago.
Well, but I mean, you're still getting it as the culmination of presumably a great match, and a great show. So it's not like you got shortchanged on the show.
Yeah, but a great show is usually self-contained. That's all.
So, but I mean, if we get, if the culmination,
I'm just saying it's a danger. Yeah. I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm just saying it's a danger to think about. I would, I
don't know if it's feasible, but I would also see if you can do, like, if Ospreay beats Jericho, do Ospreay MJF at All Out. I think that's a big match coming off of All In. But
man, that just feels like Punk MJF, and they only have a week to build.
Which they're not doing Punk MJF. I heard.
Okay,
they are going to do it at some point, but it's not at All Out.
Yeah, because there's no time to build it.
No, exactly.
And you got to build that in Chicago.
That's 2 months. That's 2 months of great television.
Yes,
right there.
You got to have promo battles for that thing.
Yeah. All right, so that is gonna just about do it for this show. It was a good one. We went a little long, but that's okay because it was the go home show for All In. And Jeff, get your plugs in, and I'll put up the banner for the Fight Game Media Patreon. While you're talking.
Hey kids, do you like pro wrestling? Well, we like pro wrestling too. I am on Shake Them Ropes over at Voices of Wrestling. Pretty much we're going to be doing the same thing over there with myself and Chris Novembrino. We'll see if any of my opinions change. And talking a bit about Terry Funk. And if there's any other news in wrestling that drops, God help Dave Meltzer. No Observer this week, which is unfortunate. But we'll talk about that and whatever else is on our mind. That will record sometime Friday evening, probably drop. We're not going to make it on time to whatever, but
that's
you can follow me at Crap Game 13 also for audio listeners.
And I'm at Paul Ace Fontaine, and as well, you can check me out. I'm going to put this on Facebook and tweet it out as well. I did a show with David Lovell yesterday featuring my 15 favorite songs of all time. So if you're curious about what kind of songs does Paul Fontaine like, you can check that out. It's free. And
I'll plug a music show real quick too. I did a show called Music of the Mat on Voices of Wrestling where I reviewed Terry Funk's Great Texan album.
Oh wow,
it's a dreadful album, but it only came out like a month ago. That show. So
you gotta get me an invite on that show. I want to do it.
Okay.
But yeah, you can check that out from me, and as well the In the Clinch MMA podcast on the Fight Game Media Network, on this network, as well as the show that I mentioned earlier. We'll be doing after All In with Garrett Gonzalez, Jeremy Feinstone, a post show, and we're going to try to keep it under an hour. So it's going to be a long day, and we don't want to keep you much longer. But you can check us out on this very channel and in your audio feed. So for Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine, and this has been The Dynamite Show.
Rest in peace, Funker.